Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. Say, what is ET short for? So he can fit in the spaceship. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Breen Confederacy, an expansion for Star Trek Ascendancy from Gale Force 9.
Full speed ahead, Mr. Sulu. My crazy concubine awaits. Mr. Spock, don't interfere. You are my science engineer. At Warp 9, it's girls of us. Oh. This goes far more deep than lust. Because my name is Captain Kirk. That stands up various Kirk. My 5-year mission is to find my crazy concubine. Those Klingons better step aside. Those girls can't run, but they can't hide. Leave me alone, or better yet, say close and find me up an end. I got my phaser set on kill.
Hello everybody, we'll be back to the review in just a second. I just want to take a minute to tell you to go visit Galaxy of Games in West Jordan, Utah. It is Utah's newest game store. It's run by friends of mine. It's a great place, great selection, great prices, well-lit, clean bathrooms. If you go in there, ladies and gentlemen, and you tell them that I sent you, the Discriminating Gamer, and you use the promo code TDG, you'll get 10% off of your purchase. Check out Galaxy of Games. Breen Confederacy brings a new player, a new faction to your game of Star Trek Ascendancy. This game, of course, has new worlds, it has new tokens, it has new cards, it has all sorts of new goodies, and some important new rules. Now, if you remember the Star Trek Deep Space Nine television program, you'll remember that the Breen are an incredibly xenophobic, isolationist race that is deeply, deeply committed to protecting their own territory. Now, the basic rules of this expansion are the Breen have territory. It's not just lands they control. Essentially, any unbroken chain of territory they control is part of their confederacy, is part of their home territory. Now, this is important because there's going to be a lot of cards that specifically say in Breen territory certain factors occur. I believe there's one technology card, for instance, that says if any enemies enter your territory, they have to treat it like a hazard and roll for each of their ships. So the concept of territory is very important. If you're playing the Breen, you are going to be very cautious and build out slowly. Now, obviously, you're going to want to try as much as you can to tie your empires together through an unbroken chain, because that is your territory, and you are much, much, much more militarily powerful when you are fighting in your own territory. Your fleets are interesting. Your battle fleet, fleet number 1, during any kind of battles, you can actually roll 2 die during battles if you are fighting in your home territory. Your fleet number 2, your science fleet, is pretty interesting. Instead of rolling for every ship in the fleet for a hazard, you actually just roll once to only potentially destroy 1 ship. And then critically, if you are already in a hazard and you want to brave that hazard in order to get the science token, you can do that without exhausting a command token. Now, your Fleet 3 is a deep strike fleet, and this is pretty interesting because what it means is if you are in one system and your enemy's in another system, you can essentially go on a raid. You can go to that system, conduct 1 round of battle, and then leave immediately. You can't, of course, control the system, you can't do anything like that, but you can just go in, hit them, and get out. But the Breen also have a really cool special ability. They can re-roll all misses while fighting in Breen territory. And then also, too, they do have one thing that's kind of scary. You cannot engage in any kind of a trade agreement with them unless the person you're engaging with a trade agreement has a system that is directly adjacent to Breen territory. Which means if you control a system, but it is not an unbroken link to that system between your home world and that system, and somebody has a territory adjacent, you cannot trade. If they have a ship next to you, you cannot trade again unless you have one of their systems adjacent to your territory. We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review. So that is all basically what you are getting with the Breen expansion. Now, this is really interesting because it's like they're very military, but you've already got military factions, the Klingons, the Cardassians, but this is very military because they're very powerful when fighting on their own territory. Outside of their own territory, they're average. They don't have a lot of stuff that benefits them outside of their home territory, but inside their home territory, if you're doing those projects, if you're getting that tech, you can be very, very, very powerful. All told, this is another fun expansion. I really enjoyed the Breen. This is actually one I want to play some more and really get to know. This potentially, if we're just talking about factions, when I look at the Dominion expansion I reviewed recently, I think that's a whole new way to play the game. But when I'm looking straight at factions, I think if I play Breen more, I could see Breen becoming my favorite faction. Not prepared to say that yet, but I could see that happening. So this is a really fun faction. I think between this and Dominion, which have just come out, I think Gale Force 9 hit it out of the park. These are two great expansions. Can't wait to see what they come up with next for this game. Love Star Trek Ascendancy, and I love the Breen Confederacy expansion. Recommendation for the discriminating gamer for Breen Confederacy expansion for Star Trek Ascendancy is buy it. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We'd ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. I'd also ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to please check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history and books on history and fun things like that. Please check it out, please subscribe, and please give a thumb to this video on Board Game Geek. That helps us out a lot as well. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I'm reminded of what Scotty said to Captain Kirk when they flew over the western UK. There be whales there.
Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
Is the Federation seriously dealing with an alliance of the Romulans, Borg, Ferengi, and Klingons?